Good morning. Welcome to Carolina Morning Meditations from Mid Hill, North Carolina, in the heart of the Carolina backcountry. I'm your host, Russ McCullough. Thanks for dropping in today as we are making friends, keeping friends, and restoring friends for Jesus Christ. And we're looking at the book of friendship, the book of John, as John relays the life and times of his best friend, Jesus Christ. Christ has just uttered his pastoral prayer, the prayer in the garden, and now that which he's been preparing his disciples for, the death, burial, and resurrection of their master, is about to begin. All the preparation is over and done with. All the encouragement is over and done with. And all the prayer has been accomplished for the apostles. And now Jesus, and Jesus alone, will suffer and die for the sins of all mankind. His blood is sufficient to cover the sins. Will be added to the church by the Lord himself, to the book of life. This is available to all men. All men have free moral agency, free choice to either be a Christian or not, to follow Christ or not, to be saved or not, to have their sins forgiven or not. It is the choice that God, by his sovereign will, has given to each and every person. And so we're going to begin today and look at verses 1 through 4 of John 18. Looking for a pen. I didn't see one. I know this never happened to you. Okay, we're reading today from the New King James Version. When Jesus had spoken these words, he went out with his disciples over the brook Kidron, where there was a garden, which he and his disciples entered. And Judas, who betrayed him, also knew the place, where Jesus often met there with his disciples. Then Judas, having received a detachment of troops and officers from the chief priests and Pharisees, came there with lanterns, torches, and weapons. Jesus, therefore, knowing all things that would come upon him, went forward and said to them, "Whom are you seeking?" Immediately after the pastoral prayer, Jesus regathers his disciples. They pass over the brook Kidron, which separates the Mount of Olives from Mount Zion. There's a valley in between the two, and in the bottom of the valley is this brook, the brook Kidron. And so they cross over, come into the garden, the Garden of Gethsemane, the Garden of Olives on the Mount of Olives. And apparently Jesus and his disciples often gathered there. They may have often spent the night there when they were in the Jerusalem area. Judas, of course, knows this place, and he just knows that at night, when they're in Jerusalem, they'll be there. So he comes along with the chief priest and the Pharisees. The Sadducees and the Pharisees have united against Christ. And They've come with a detachment of troops. Now, you might say, well, I thought Judea was under Roman control. Yes, it was. But the Jews were allowed their own detachment of temple guards to render security in the temple area where Gentiles were not allowed. And so on this occasion, these armed men, these armed Jews from the temple, under the command of the chief priests, brought their allies, the Pharisees, with them. Normally they were anything but allies, but their hatred of Christ united them. And they come prepared with lanterns, torches, and weapons. This is no small force of men, and they are well prepared for violence. And Jesus, knowing all things, he doesn't react. He is proactive. He takes the assertion. He makes the first move. He, instead of waiting for them to approach him, he approaches them. He charges first, as it were. And then, in a most assertive way, already knowing the answer, of course, says, "Who are you seeking? Who are you looking for?" A very, very forthright question. We'll talk about their response tomorrow, as the Lord wills, but our lesson today is the same question Jesus asked. Who are you seeking? Who or what are you seeking? What is your priority? Who is your friend? And let's be blunt. All of us, we're either friends of the world or friends of Christ. Christ, if he's your friend, is the greatest friend you could ever imagine. For what other friend do you have that died for you, that was buried for you, that rose from the dead for you, ascended back to heaven for you, reigns with God for you, advocates for you, is preparing for you a place in the heavenlies, and is going to come back one day and retrieve you and take you back with him to his Father's mansion, where he's prepared a room for you, where you will live with your best friend forever. Now, I am confident you have no such friend unless your best friend is Jesus. And it is he who we proclaim here today. I hope and pray that when you ask the question, or the question is asked of you, who are you seeking? That answer will be Jesus Christ. Because all hope resides in Christ, and no hope resides outside of Christ. That's the bottom line. The question is, do you believe it? Will you accept it? Will you obey it? Will you surrender to Jesus? Will you give him all? Because he is going to give you everything you could ever imagine, and then 1,000,000 times more. How, as the Hebrew writer says, how can we neglect such a great salvation? And so today, ask yourself the question and render an honest answer. Whom are you seeking? Well, thanks a lot for dropping by here for Carolina Morning Meditations. And we hope and pray to see you tomorrow, Lord willing, at either 11 a.m. or 7 p.m. at the meeting hall of the Archdale Church of Christ in Charlotte, if you're in the Charlotte area. We gather for Bible study at 11 a.m. and 7 p.m. to give opportunity for all persons, whether they're working or whether they're not. You can come in the morning or you can come in the evening, your choice. Or, hey, you can come both times. We'd be happy to see you both times. We really, really do love and appreciate you and hope and pray that you will be there. And, of course, we'll hope and pray to see you again tomorrow right here on Carolina Morning Meditations here from the Carolina Backcountry. God bless you. Have a great day today.